Okay, so I'm hoping that I've made this a little bit easier by cutting out the monthly interest thoughts. So just for easy example, let's see if we can calculate the future value of a 10-year annuity with yearly deposits of $1,000 at 7% interest compounded yearly. Okay, so all the time units match. This will hopefully give us a warm up at new annuities. Thoughts?
Yeah, what's the formula that we're going to be using for this?
Good. We need to develop a formula. So we're going to warm up by trying to develop a formula. Okay. So let's assume the deposits are made at the beginning of the month, or the beginning of the year, right? So there's going to be 10 deposits of $1,000, right? You guys see that? 10-year annuity. Deposits of $1,000. So here's the first year. Here's the second year. Here's the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year, the sixth year, the seventh year, the eighth year. Crap. The ninth year. The 10th year. Need a step stool. Okay, so I've got all 10 years, right? So I'm going to start down here with this one because I can reach this one. So I lied. This is going to be the first year. So when I make that deposit of $1,000, how much is that thing worth in the future? Like, how long is that going to sit in here?
10 years.
Yeah, this is going to sit in here for 10 years, right? And I'm compounding annually. So this thing is going to net me, right? What's the formula for compound interest? I need that, right? You guys see why I need that? I can think about this as 10 separate little accounts, right? You guys see that? And then I can just vary the time frame. And in the end, I can just add them all up. So this one is going to sit in there for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to get my $1,000 times 1 plus 0.07, right? The interest rate divided by the number of compounding periods, raised to the, okay. You guys see that? Okay, out of this one, so this is the first one, right? First deposit.
So it's the same thing.
It's in there for all 10 years. And I'm.
This isn't the compounded formula though. We're just using the simple one and then smashing them all into one big group, and that'll be as if it were the compounded.
No, that's the compounded formula
What happened
on.
to the end and the other end?
What happened to the n and the other n?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm compounding yearly, right? So this is really over 1 times 1. The n's 1 here. Okay. How about the 1,000?
If it was biannually, it'd be 2. It didn't change that much. You just use your time periods every month.
Yeah, if I was doing monthly, right, I'd do 7% over 12 times 100, or raised to the 120 power. All right, so that's my first deposit, right? How about my second deposit? Right, that's the one that's made the second year that this thing exists. It's $1,000, and so I put that in this same formula, right? It's 1 plus 0.07 raised to the 9th because it's only in there for 9 years. You guys see that? All right, this $1,000, that was the third deposit, right? What did I get it? Say, go.
Well, it's going to be the same thing, but just really moving or doing it for a year.
Okay, so it's the same thing. The 1,000 times the 1 plus 0.07 to the 8. You guys see that? Okay, so in the end here, what's my future value going to be? Right, we call that what I usually call it. The amount, right? The annuity's future value is going to be, should I fill more of these out? You guys see the pattern?
You just do 10 factorial.
No.
Oh, God. That'd be good.
So what I've got here is I've got my first payment, right, was $1,000. See that? Let me just factor 1,000 out of all of that jazz. I'm just going to add these up anyway, right? You guys see that? I'm going to add this whole column. How about what's the first one up at the top there that I can't reach? Yeah, that's going to be 1,000 to the, or times.
That times 1 plus 0.07 to the 1.
Got it. Do it.
Let's see, so they were 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You darken it.
I can't see it.
Shut up. I can get a chair if I have to. All right, so what I've got is 1,000, right, times, see, there's, up at the top, there's 1.07, right? Plus 1.07
To the second.
squared plus 1.07 cubed plus 1.0, I'm done with that. Dots, right? And what's the last one? 1.07 to the 10. You guys cool with this? So notice that looks like something we just talked about, which is why we talked about it. Right? You guys see that? So that's one of these R things, right? Oh, I should have factored out an extra 1.07. Crap. That's what happens when you deposit at the beginning of the month instead of at the end. You guys see that? Perfect. Okay, so let's factor out another 1.07 to make it look like the formula. So I think I've got 1,000 times 1.07 is 1070 times 1 plus 1.07 plus 1.07 squared plus up to 1.07 to the Okay, now it looks like the thing in the formula, right?
More or less, yeah.
Well, we start with a 1. What if R is, R is 1.07?
So I got 1070, and now I need the formula, right? So I'm remembering this formula, which was 1 plus R squared, and so forth, up to R to the n is, what was S?
1 minus R
1 minus R to the n
plus 1.
plus 1 over 1 minus R. Okay, so over here, I'm sitting in a situation like that, right? I got 1, I got some number squared, and so on up to some number to the 9th, right? So what's your R and your n here?
R is 1.07.
R is 1.07, and n is
9.
I was kidding you.
Yeah, you want it to be 10 because it was 10 years, right? It's, so n is the thing on the end, right? On the end of the stuff you're adding, it's the biggest power you're adding up, which is 9 here.
So n plus 1 would be 10.
Yeah, and then the n plus 1 is 10. So When I put in what the value for the sum is, it's 1 minus 1.07 to the 10 divided by 1 minus
1.07.
1.07. Okay, see this? Which is cool. Done. Hey.
And then you can.
We should probably figure out what that is.
Oh. It's just a calculation.
Just freaking slap a dollar sign on here and move on with your life, right? Accountants love that kind of thing. All right, so let's figure out what it actually is in terms of dollars. So,
Done by that.
I saw a picture from a coffee shop the other day that the Wi-Fi password was a thing like this.
Oh.
No, we're not even
Okay, so I got A is
It's like Euro.
1070 times, somebody want to give me, I think that's minus 0.07 on the bottom, right? Somebody got the top for me? Yeah, I picked the easy one. You working on the whole thing, Megan, or just the
Working
top?
on the whole thing.
Okay. The camera's on and I just don't know what to do with this time.
Okay, if I put this in right, the whole thing should be
I should bring juggling gloves.
$14,783.60.
So you think it came up to 14,000?
$783.60. If I put it in right.
All right, so let's just use our brains for a second and ballpark whether Megan's probably right or probably not.
Well, I mean, you're putting in $10,000.
Yeah, you're putting in a minimum of $10,000, right? So there's gonna be $10,000 in this account. 7% interest is pretty good, right? Like better than you're gonna get on your savings account. Probably better than you're gonna get out of the stock market. So yeah, I feel like this is probably reasonable.
Good job.
Right? It didn't triple at least. So if it had been triple, I'd be like, nah. If it had been $11,000, skeptical, right? If it was $9,000, nah. If it was negative, also nah. Cool? Questions, things? All right.